All right, Golden State. Golden State Social Justice Warriors, episode 3. It's Rick with Mike.
What's happening?
How you been, man?
Man, chilling, bruh. Out here working, taking care of these grown ass kids, bruh. Out here killing my pockets, man. Killing my pockets right now, bro. I'm a little depressed.
Hey, I got a dog, and
keep it that way, fam.
Nah,
keep it that way.
She ain't breaking it's like that.
I did a Facebook Live video. We had to go to 3 grocery stores yesterday when we went grocery shopping to basically get everything that the kids needed. So I got a back seat full of groceries, a cargo area full of groceries, almost $400 worth of groceries, and about probably about $35 of that shit belonged to me and my wife. The rest of it was for the damn kids. This is ridiculous.
Damn, you got you like a 12-pack of hot dog buns and some Lay's.
Then they like calling, can we have bagels and cream cheese for breakfast? Like, if y'all don't eat this damn King vitamin cereal and shut the hell up. I don't.
It'll get you healthy. It got vitamins in it. Shut up. Shit. Damn bagel ain't got vitamins.
But other than that, man, everything is 100, bruh.
Good. Yeah, let's go ahead.
Did you get on that Nipsey Hussle yet? I gotta put it out there, man. That Nipsey Hussle shit.
You know what? I haven't listened to it yet, though.
Fire.
I heard it was. I mean, I heard it was about as fire as his album release party.
Oh yeah, when them niggas shot that shit up, man.
Shot up, yeah.
You know your album hot when they shoot the album release party up, nigga.
Yep. That shit at least 4 mics in the source. I'm just it's gotta be. Like you get an extra mic in the source if somebody shoots your album party up. That's the rule. But yeah, let's get into some basketball. First thing I wanted to talk about was Golden State and Cleveland. How they've looked since the All-Star break. What are your thoughts?
Golden State are what they are, bro. It's simple. Golden State. I still don't think nobody's going to beat them right now. They blew out. Who did they blow out last night?
OKC.
OKC blew them out. We got to discuss that.
On a bad shooting night from Steph and from Clay.
So it looks like Cleveland is now playing San Antonio. San Antonio's up by 4 in the third quarter. So after the All-Star break, Cleveland came back, lost to Washington, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. A John Wall-less Washington.
But Washington has been playing better without John Wall. Let's keep it 100 now.
Yes, but they're not going to continue to play better without John Wall. Like, he's such a defensive matchup nightmare. Especially for like a Cleveland now that you don't have Kyrie. Like George, do you trust George Hill against John Wall?
I don't trust anybody on Cleveland's roster against John Wall.
But that's the point. I just figure like when he comes back, he's able to see what they've been doing well. And just fucking slide himself in. He's not,
Yeah, but is he that type of player though?
I think
because that's what he's been. They've been. Gotta be. Some of the teammates have been throwing a little shade at Wall over the course of the year about him being ball dominant and a little selfish on the basketball court now. So the question is, does he pull a Carmelo had to basically slide into his role with OKC and be more of a fill-in here and there when George and God damn it, what's my boy's name? Westbrook is on, running short tonight. So does Wall come back and slide into a different position and be more open with sharing the ball?
I don't think he has to, because the thing is that when he comes out, like, you now have a system in which they have to defend for. Like that they have to defend. Like before, when John Wall came out, it was just make sure Bradley Beal don't score, and you can pretty much guarantee a win. But like you can't do that if the rest of the team is playing that well, because when they're on the floor with them, they're still just as good. They may be winning more games. They may be playing better team ball.
Basketball.
But in a 7-game series against the Cleveland Cavaliers, I think they give them nightmares. I wouldn't want to see them if I was Cleveland in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, in the Eastern Conference, I wouldn't want to see Washington. I definitely wouldn't want to see Toronto. I think those are the two biggest threats to them coming out of the East right now.
Yeah, I still don't count out Boston. Even though, like,
because they've been floundering.
They've been playing like trash.
Yeah, they've been floundering a little bit.
Yeah, but I still see that shit can change, because they can just as easily revert back to the way they were playing at the beginning of the season. A lot of people thought they was playing over their heads, but you usually don't play over your head for 30 games. You know? Like, you might play above your skill level, like 10, 15 games, you're on a roll, but 30? Nah.
Yeah, I definitely, the way I see it now, I mean, Cleveland and Boston are definitely on the collision course coming out of these. Mm-hmm. You know, those other teams are definitely going to be a challenge, but it's going to come down to Cleveland and Boston. Yeah, and to be totally honest with you, I wouldn't be shocked if it went either way. I mean, Cleveland's playing great ball right now. I don't know. That's gonna be a hard bet right there, because I think Kyrie got something to prove. Kyrie is like, I think he's gonna put all that weight on his back, and he's gonna have something to prove.
Yeah, but the reality is he doesn't even have to. Like, niggas sleep on Boston so much. Think about, like, Al Horford. Think about how much everybody sleeps on Al Horford. Like, easily an all-star, and easily been playing like an all-star this year.
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown has been playing amazing. Marcus Smart has been like the gel for that team, and they were dealing without, like, a lot of the stretch. Weren't they without Smart?
Yeah, I believe so.
Correctly. So, like, I don't, when they get a full team back in the playoffs, I don't want to see them in a 7-game series. I wouldn't want to see them or Washington if I was Cleveland in a 7-game series. Like, it's just, period. Because you don't know which way that's going to go. They have a lot of players that fit the roles that LeBron needs, that you need to play with LeBron. You got a lot of people who can play catch and shoot. You got people who can come off the bench and score a little bit. They have Larry Nance is a decent pick and roll player, just because he
jump out of the fucking gym. Yeah.
That nigga, he slashes to the rim pretty good. But none of them have, like, experience under the bright lights, and it's gonna be interesting to see who does and doesn't step up.
I'm more interested to see how. I'm with Cleveland. I want to see how Kevin Love fits back in when he comes back. That's, to me, that's gonna say a lot as far as how far they're gonna go, because Kevin Love really has to get back in here and make an impact, and I'm wondering how he's gonna fit in with the rest of these young cats they got on that team now.
Yeah, I think he has to make an impact, not just on the court, but off the court too. Because, like, if we're gonna be honest, Kevin Love is a scapegoat.
Yeah, of course he is.
He's a scapegoat for everything wrong in Cleveland. Every time anything happens, ever. Like, because you don't want to blame LeBron. Although, you can make a case. But whenever things get dysfunctional, Kevin Love gets thrown under the bus. For the last 2 or 3 years, he's used to it. They won a title off of it. Like, you won a title off of getting thrown under the bus? I get, hey, this is my role. I'll take it. So, like, when shit does start going awry, I just expect it to fall.
And he's a defensive liability when he's on the court as well. Kevin Love can easily get you 25 and 10, but that nigga is not going to guard a cardboard box. Like,
no, he used to be a better defender. And even then, he wasn't that great. Like, he was a better defender in Minnesota, even then.
That
Nah,
nigga was young.
yeah.
That nigga was young.
Well, yeah. Youth and defense usually come one
Yeah.
and one.
Now, and look
Come
at
hand
him.
in
What he do
hand.
now? He gonna stand in the corner, wait for somebody to pass the ball, hit a corner three.
Shut up, dog. Shut the fuck up, dog. Pebbles.
Yeah, they
Come
don't
here,
want all
mama.
that disrespect. Don't take Kevin Love's name out your mouth,
Pebbles.
nigga.
Hey, little nigga. Come here, mama. Come here. Jerk. Yes, I'm talking about you. This is why you can't have nice things, Pebbles.
Okay,
Should
so I'm
get
looking
no
at
bark.
the standings. So it looks like Toronto is in the number 1 spot right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
You know what? Oh, where were we before?
making fun of
Rude
Kevin Love's
interruption.
defense.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's terrible. But yeah, I think Toronto is in the first.
Yeah,
spot,
they're
as you
number
said.
1. Boston's number 2, Cleveland number 3, Washington sits at 4, Indiana at 5, Milwaukee at 6, Philadelphia at 7, and the Miami Heat at number 8 right now.
Honestly, if I'm Cleveland, I don't want to see Washington. I actually think I'd rather see Milwaukee before I see the Sixers. Definitely rather see the Heat. Probably rather see the Pacers, but Wizards, Sixers, I don't think they want to see.
So if they stay, if the playoffs start today, they'd be facing Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And I can see Milwaukee staying hovering around that 6-7. Well, yeah, shit. So then Milwaukee and Philly pretty much have an identical record right now. So
Yeah, I mean, between 4 and 7, there's a 2-game difference? No,
Yep.
a 1-game difference. So that shit could change really at any
Oh, you said
day.
from 4 to yeah. So
Yeah, 4 to 7. It's just a 1-game difference. Washington is 7.5 games back from first place. Philly at 7th place is 8.5 games back. So, I don't see it. It could that, and you know what's starting to surprise me?
what's that?
At the East, even though the East isn't like, I guess this is probably a decent segue, but like, even though the East isn't a powerhouse, 1 through 8 looks a lot better in the East than it does in the West.
Yeah, but it's
least
always
this
been
year.
like that. I mean, it's
No. I mean, okay, so in the West, after Houston, Golden State, and Minnesota, and really Minnesota, I don't think they're quite there yet. This is their first year with a young core playing together.
And I don't know. I know Butler got carried off the court. Was it last night? Night
Yeah, it
before
was a
last?
meniscus injury though. So
Okay.
yeah, I don't think they know how long it's gonna be out, but like it's nothing too serious, like a meniscus injury, a tear. Yeah, like 4 to 6 weeks maybe.
Okay.
Might be out. It's not a length of time, but it's not like he's out the rest of the season. I don't think. But yeah, I mean, when you look at the Western Conference, other than Houston and Golden State, it's the good teams, but they're not gonna really like challenge for a title, and they're not gonna beat. I don't think they beat either Boston or Cleveland. You can make a case for Oklahoma City, but the reality is that they're gonna be in that maybe 6, 7 spot.
Yep.
I don't know that you want to see Minnesota in the first round. I think that team is done. I think the whole Westbrook, Melo, fuck is that dude's name? Paul George.
Paul George.
That era is done. I just don't see it. I don't see it happening.
Do you see Paul George staying in Oklahoma City next year? Because that is one of the major questions coming out of the West. Does he leave Oklahoma City and go to the Lakers? He's been speaking very highly of the OKC organization, saying he likes playing with Westbrook. Does he stay? My gut tells me he ends up leaving. I don't think he's going to stay with Oklahoma City.
I think he'd be. Honestly, I don't see it. I don't see it because I don't see them getting past maybe anything more than the second round. Like, for what? To what end? At least in LA, like, you know that you're gonna have. I don't know if he signs. That's usually carte blanche for somebody else to sign, and they can actually build a pretty decent team around him with the young talent that they have. Is it gonna be like having Westbrook? Fuck no. But part of that is a blessing because again, ball dominant guards are difficult as fuck to play with. It's hard as fuck
Mm-hmm.
as a basketball player to just play defense and then stand in the corner and wait for a nigga to kind of short or maybe in a way pass it to you. Like, hey man, get open, nigga. You didn't.
But the
take
thing is,
36 shots.
yeah, Westbrook is ball dominant, but the nigga's damn near like last year the nigga averaged a triple double, so he's putting
Yeah, but
he's
it's
putting
not that
assists
hard
on.
when you. Well, but he's putting assists on the board because of the fact that like everybody knows where he's going, and you don't have like you can't stop this nigga at the rim, so you have to double team him. You have to help kick out. You can do that shit 10 times a game. He don't even have to. He don't even have to run an offense to get 10 assists. He can just drive to the rim, and then are they gonna kick it? Are they gonna collapse? No, fuck it. I'm scoring. I'm putting up 40 tonight. But they gonna collapse. Okay, well, guess I'm gonna have 40 and 13 assists. Like, you got. I mean, the amount of ball, like it's the same thing with LeBron, right? Like how everybody lauds him about his triple doubles, but it's again because his ball usage is so high. He has so much. He has the ball so fucking much, and like, you ever play 2K on like 12-minute quarters?
Not
Every
often,
once in
but
a
I
while,
have.
right? Like if you're
Yeah,
trying to like grind and get your player up to level up and shit, you do that. Like,
yeah, nigga, that's a whole nother topic. That 2K
yeah.
bullshit. That's
Oh yeah. Yeah, we ain't
God.
gonna get on that one today, but we got to cover that sometime.
You gonna fuck around, piss me off right now talking about this shit.
No, but basically what I'm saying is like you can run an offense, like because what I'll do is everybody how they grind a NBA player, they 2K players up, put that shit on 12-minute quarters and go to work. Put it on like the lowest difficulty setting and just grind. Now you don't even have to put it on the lowest difficulty setting. Like I put that shit on Hall of Fame, and just by virtue of the amount of plays that you run in an NBA game, right, and the pace at which you play, it's easy as fuck if you have the ball 60% of the time that you're on the floor to put up at least a double double.
Mm-hmm.
Now a lot of factors fall. Well, I ain't gonna say a double double, but but at least near it. You even at like 20 and 7, you should be pretty close. Because if you're scoring, they have to collapse. If you're not scoring, and you're getting to like somebody like a Westbrook, like a Harden, like a LeBron, you get to the free throw line pretty well, and you shoot a decent percentage. What do you take away from them? Well, you got to make the motherfucker pass. Like that. That's usually the strategy you go with to try to stop somebody, right? And if they got the ball 60% of the time, all it takes is them getting wide up, getting their teammates wide open shots. It's not that difficult when you're using the ball that much, and you're that caliber of player. Like,
yeah. That shit only works for me on 2K when Shammy's on the court. If I ain't got Shammy out there hitting every goddamn three the niggas shoot, that shit don't work for me too well.
Well, it depends on the team you playing with too, because you look at.
Nigga, I'm on the Lakers, nigga. Them niggas ain't hitting nothing.
Oh,
damn.
Yeah. You know what though? I gotta send you the roster, my nigga. Like I played through 2K, and I think I'm on like the 3rd season. Managed to keep Lonzo, got him shooting threes pretty well. Kept BI, managed to get Whiteside and Cat.
Oh shit.
And I'm a 91.
Yikes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's
Oh
just
yeah, you
my
gotta
like that's
send
in
me
my
the.
career. I ain't got no control over the shit. Like you can once you get like to like a 90, you can start influencing who you want. Like, oh well, maybe you guys should go after this person, and they'll do it. But ain't no guarantee. It's not like you can force this shit like you can in what is it, my GM, where you just nope, fuck that nigga, you giving them to me. I want Ben Simmons for Tyler Enos. Thank you.
God damn.
Just yeah. Don't act like you even used to pull them grimy ass deals.
Yeah, nigga, I was. Yeah, team was loaded,
Yeah,
nigga.
yeah. Everybody did that, but nah. I think playoffs is gonna be pretty interesting in both conferences. I think it's um, which I guess brings us to the whole Adam Silver's suggestion about possibly changing the playoffs to a what is it, 1 through 16 seeding?
1 through 16. Yep. So
I
the conferences no longer have a play in. It's just the top 16 teams, period. So you can end up with a Houston Rockets versus the fucking Golden State Warriors
Miami
final.
Heat, yeah, basically.
Yeah. I like that idea. LeBron wasn't too fond of it. That seems to be the big story right now, the fact that LeBron doesn't like it. But I think it'll shake things up. I think it's time the NBA gets, nothing wrong with a new coat of paint on something every now and then. I like that idea.
I don't. I hate that
Really?
idea.
Why?
Yeah. Because, all right, so think about how much has to change to make this a realistic possibility. A, the scheduling, as far as like the conferences and all that other shit.
Yeah,
like, that
that's
means
the
nothing.
problem, because basically
Like,
the way
that
they said it's
goes
going to
away.
be every
So-
team will play each team like 3 times, supposedly. In most cases you'll play each team 3 times. The one issue I do have with it is the scheduling and the traveling part of it. So that's going to be a
That's the
lot
other
on
part
players.
too. Is the travel.
So-
like, if you have a Miami versus LA first round, it's not gonna make for better basketball. They're gonna be fucking exhausted.
Yeah.
Like just the
And there's
jet
really
lag
no way
alone.
around that shit. Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
no way around it. It's really not.
Yeah. Not to mention you don't have the TV money that they lose. Like, they bought their money. That's why LeBron was like, "No, this is silly." Because think about it. I think who pointed this shit out? Shannon Sharp pointed this out. 60% of the televisions in the U.S. are on the Eastern time zone. What happens if you have a Houston versus Golden State matchup in Golden State at 9? Everybody gonna be asleep. Like, turn these fucking sets off. No matter how good the game is, like, sure, maybe it might interest some real hardcore basketball fans to continue watching the game that fucking late. But if you're just a casual fan and there's no real stakes in it for you because, I'm not from Houston, I'm not really a Rockets fan, and I'm not from Golden State, and I'm not really a Warriors fan. Like, there is a national East versus West thing that the NBA plays off of that already existed, and you always have that kind of rivalry. I don't know. I just think it's good for the sport. I mean, you think about, everybody says like the West is stacked, right? Because that's the big argument, is that oh well, especially if LeBron goes West, the West is going to be stacked. But really, last 14 years since LeBron has been in the league, the West is 8-6. Save for Dallas, who snuck in 2011. It's been pretty fucking even. Like, in all honesty, Dallas should have won that. Dallas should have lost that Miami series. Sorry. Like, they were not the better team. I think I might have been rooting for them at the time, but again, they were not the better team. I don't know.
Are you going to be one of those people that blame that shit on LeBron too? Was it all LeBron's fault, the reason they lost to Dallas? Because they just had this discussion, maybe a week or so ago. I'm like, damn, they still talking about this shit?
I'm gonna take Eddie House word. Well, no, because it came up because Eddie House was on like First Take or some shit, right? And
is that what he said? LeBron
he
gave
quit on us. He was like,
Yeah.
he just quit on us. And there's no like, I'm sorry. As close as I know the NBA players are, and as like hush hush as things go, or are in like NBA locker rooms. When a nigga shows up on national TV and says you quit on him, you quit on him, and it looked like you quit on him. There were millions of people watching that game, me included. It looked like you quit on him. The guy said it looked like you quit on him. I'm just going out on a limb here. I'm gonna say you probably quit on him. I don't know. I don't see that as unreasonable. Motherfuckers make mistakes. Remember, what was that? The 2007 finals when Boston beat the Lakers by like 36 points at home, and Kobe was just like, fuck this. He started firing up about the second quarter, like, okay, let's go. We're behind. We're down 15. Like, this shit ain't gonna work. And after he saw what nobody else with it, he said, fuck it. I wash my hands of it. This is a L. Like sometimes great players give up because reasons. They human. They had their own reasons for shit.
While we're talking about Kobe, have you watched the one-on-one sit down with him and Shaq
I've
that
watched
they did
bits and
before?
pieces.
You got to watch the whole thing. Them two motherfuckers was on some other shit.
Yeah.
You got to watch the whole thing, but like that Kobe is like just his mental state. Like that dude is on a whole. He talked about that game with Boston, like just. And I feel like a lot of analysts are right. Like when LeBron showed up on the scene, and with LeBron on the level that he's on as far as his basketball play, it's like we have forgot about Kobe Bryant. But Kobe Bryant was a fucking monster, man. That dude is a killer.
He was, but he was a killer in an average NBA player's body. LeBron is a. Think about it.
Yeah,
he has the prototypical two-guard body, but he doesn't have as big of hands as Mike or Dr. J, so he couldn't really palm the ball, or even like a Vince Carter. Like he could palm it, but it wasn't like they was. They was holding that shit like a grapefruit. He was holding it maybe like a cantaloupe. Like it's just his
but with that
and his intensity is what put him over the top. Because I mean, shit, you could have made a case for like Joe Johnson. Joe Johnson has a prototypical two-guard body, and he's actually been a little thicker throughout his career. 6'5", solid build, can bang. Like, but we don't talk about Joe Johnson the way
what was Kobe's playing weight?
Throughout the years, anywhere from like 195 to like 215, I think.
Okay.
I think maybe the most he put on was like 215, 220. So he's got that. Again, he's got that athletic frame that you need to be that you generally need to be as a two guard. Tall, decent arm length, just prototypical. Nothing special, but then nothing really that bad either.
But it's a bad dude when Shaq can sit there and admit the reason he rarely showed up in shape was because he knew Kobe was going to carry him over the top. The nigga sat there and admitted that shit.
Yeah.
He said, I didn't have to work out during the off season. I didn't have to do anything.
Doing enough working out for the both of us.
Yeah.
Shit. Kobe was working out enough for Shaq, Robert Horry, me, you, nigga. He was just he'd be in the gym. I remember I used to see him at what was it, the open gym at UCLA when I used to work. Me and my cousin had like an internship in the mail room when we was like 15. So on our lunch breaks we would just run to the men's gym to go hoop, and he would just be there. Sometimes he would be there, and of course that shit was shut all the way down. You just be staring outside like, "Hey, nigga, that's Kobe." Ooh, look, is he dribbling? I can't get in though. But all right, I guess I'm gonna go get some food instead of play ball for lunch. All right, that's cool. But nah, I mean his drive as a player, his basketball IQ as a player. When Magic calls him the greatest Laker of all time, like I agree, and I don't think that Magic is saying that facetiously. I don't think I don't think that he's saying like you can make a case that oh well Magic was the best Laker. Not really. Magic ain't have a 20-year career where he what Magic got to what 9 finals was it?
Oh shit!
Won
It's not
5, lost
running.
4. Because there was Detroit,
Boston
Celtics beat him a
twice,
couple times. Yeah, Boston twice. Detroit might have been twice.
and then
No,
Chicago.
the Sixers. Yeah, no, you're right. I don't know. So Boston twice, Detroit once, and then the
And then the
Bulls.
91, 92, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, this dude had a 20-year career. The only person that you could possibly make an argument for as far as greatest Laker, greatest player in a Laker uniform, Kareem maybe. But Kareem didn't spend. But Kareem didn't spend 20 years with the Lakers. Like he did this. He did everything. The amazing 81-point game. Arguably the best offensive game ever caught on record in an NBA game. Because a lot of people forget like they needed that shit and it wasn't against no slouch. Jalen Rose was at that time at least above average NBA player.
That nigga's still bitter about that shit too. Every time I see him and Kobe sit out for interview, he brings that shit up every.
Yeah, how could you not? Nigga, you drop 81 on me, I would be offended. Because it's not like is Jalen Rose a Hall of Famer? No, but it's not like this nigga was a slouch.
Nah, he definitely wasn't.
Not a slouch at all. It's just Kobe being Bryant. Like, what the fuck do you want me to say?
Yeah, them niggas can say they can talk that Kobe and Shaq, but like they brought up the Sacramento series. Like if it wasn't for even Kobe had to admit if they had lost that game where Robert hit that 3, they probably would have lost that series. But even Kobe had to admit that shit.
But you can make the same argument for Jordan that Kerr not hit that Paxson have saved his ass a couple times with long drawn out threes.
Yeah, so I just don't feel like Pippen gets the credit he deserves for those 6 championships. It's like Michael Jordan. Like I get it. The nigga was great. I take nothing away from Michael Jordan. The nigga's bad. But goddamn, the nigga ain't gonna have 6 championships without Scottie Pippen. It just ain't gonna fucking happen.
No, I don't think he has 6 championships without that team and the team structured the way it was. Like literally, that team was structured to on offense run the triangle through Michael. Let him sit on the, especially in his later years, let his ass sit on the post and go to work. And then if you have a shooter at the top and you have Pippen on the other end of the triangle to drive in case, just to keep that other defender honest. But like on defense, they were built to fucking run. You remember, people forget how awesome of a defensive team they were and how that used to just lead to them running up scores. It wasn't a lot of times their offense that got them, going offensively. It was their defense. Yep. Paxson was a great defender when he was there. Kerr was a good defender when he was there. Like, people sleep on the team dynamic of the Bulls way too much. But it's because it's fucking Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
That's what I'm saying. That's the whole point. Everything else is null and void. Y'all niggas had Michael Jordan.
Yeah, and even Mike struggled, right? Because that nigga he didn't start winning until who got old? Boston, Detroit, and the Lakers. They all fizzled right around the same time because they've been beating each other up throughout the fucking 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just him. I think he was just. Not only was he a great player, but he was a beneficiary of some amazing timing.
Yeah, and that timing fucked it up for Barkley, Ewing, Malone.
Yeah, because think about it, like they were still on the outsides of that same run, right? They were because Malone came in 87? 86, 87?
Yeah, somewhere around in there.
So, yeah, it was right around there, but like, they all were watching Boston, Detroit, and in the West, the Lakers, and to some extent, Portland, beat up on each other for years and years and years. We didn't call for them changing up the playoff system then, right? Like it's always worked this way, and granted, I think the West has a better record. It's not by much.
Yeah, and again, they played a different type of basketball then too. And you're right when you say beat up on each other. Them niggas literally beat up on each other.
Beat up on each other. Yeah.
Like literally. Yeah. So, and that's why you see a lot of the old timers now sitting around. Oh, the game is soft now. Like, nigga, you can't just punch niggas in the chest and like, come on, son. Like,
I do miss. There's a type of physicality that's missing from the game that I do miss. I honestly think because
I miss the post physicality. I miss the post physicality. Like I miss that. Just back them down. Just throw your whole body into them. Like that's the shit I miss.
I miss that. I feel like that's gonna come back when we get a big man who's talented enough to do that, and a coach who's gonna run the offense through him like that. Like Joel Embiid probably could get there. Cat could probably get there, but they're also
but all these big niggas want to shoot. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They all want to shoot jumpers now.
Yeah.
Like I don't think we're gonna see another Shaq. I'm not gonna say ever, but
I think we will. I just think it's gonna take some time.
And we haven't had anybody Shaq's stature come in the league since shit like that big.
Well, that's the thing is, and that quick. No, that nigga was quick. He wasn't fast, but that nigga was quick.
Yeah, he could get up. But just as physical as he was, just back to the basket and just back you all the way down, just throwing his whole body. And he even said it. He was like, I knew I was going to wear him down eventually. Like, it's only so much of that pounding you can take before I either break you physically or I break you mentally.
Yeah.
Greg Ostertag.
Oh. Yeah.
If you have not watched Shaq demoralize Greg Ostertag, you need to go back and watch this.
And over and over. It's terrible. No, but like when it comes to when I say physicality, what I mean is I probably would want to bring back the hand check rule. Because it's too fucking easy for players to blow by each other and you end up with different kinds of contact. Like I don't think the sport's been any less physical than it has over the years. I think that physicality is translated into other things. That's why you see like a lot more Euro stepping where there's still contact, right? But it's more so you focusing. And a lot of times I feel like that shit causes more injuries than not, right? Because if you can hand check somebody and maybe just stop them for a little bit, put some pressure on them. They're not blowing by you all the time. That means they're not at full speed. That means that when they come down, they're less likely to injure themselves. Because you think about like the shit that used to happen and the type of plays that used to happen. Remember, who was that? Was it Bill Laimbeer that fucking... No. I can't remember. It was just there's like you can go back and look at 80s basketball games. And even the early 90s, like I don't miss that kind of physicality, but I miss the ability to just be able to be physical as a defender without it being.
But when you go back to the late 80s, 80s, early 90s, if somebody blew past the guard, got to the rim, you would get knocked on your ass. It was just It was that you bring up Bill Laimbeer, Rick Mahorn, all of them dudes. Like, they were going to knock you on your ass.
Yeah.
And even Jordan had to admit, that's one of the reasons he bulked up or put on a little bit of muscle because they were killing him.
Yeah.
It just...
Come to the rim if you want to, nigga. He was like, all right. I'm coming.
And the nigga started dunking on niggas when he got... But I'm saying, it's that type of shit, to me, it shortens careers. Like, you can't tell me it doesn't shorten careers.
Yeah, it does.
You come up there, you're 5-6 feet in the air, a nigga just clothesline you in the neck, and
I mean, you think about all the stars from that era, right? Magic came in 79. He was basically done in like 92, and it wasn't just the age. He looked a little. It wasn't just the HIV. He looked a little slow, admittedly. Even in the 90-91 finals against the Bulls, he looked a little slow. He looked a little beat up. Larry Bird, career cut short.
Well, yeah, that nigga had a bad back.
Same year.
Yeah,
well, why do you think he had a bad back? They used to go like, you know, they went at each other. Yeah, he played Detroit multiple times. Like, you had to see them in the series. But that's what I'm getting at. Like, I don't want to see that kind of physicality. That the mid-air collisions, the shit that used to happen like that. No. But what stops a lot of that shit is being able to hand check. Because that's what you hand check. If somebody drives, right, you hand check just to basically assert where you are, your position in space, right, on a drive. Yeah. You're moving with them. They're gonna be a little bit slower than if you weren't able to hand check and you could just blow by them. Like, it just, I don't know. It just feels like guards get there's definitely a renaissance, like, at the guard position in the NBA. But I think part of that is just the rules too.
I agree to an extent, now. But also these niggas are bigger, stronger, and fucking faster than they were back then as well.
Yeah, but they're also bigger, stronger, faster on the defensive end. So I don't know that doesn't cancel each other out. You know, like, I never seen a defender like Kawhi Leonard. That nigga just the way he locked up LeBron in the finals, and it wasn't like he shut him down completely, but LeBron had to work for everything. Mm-hmm. And LeBron, I think about all those series when LeBron was losing to, like, Boston's Big Three, the Big Four in Detroit. Like, he was putting up numbers. Like, remember, what was it, the game against Detroit? I think it was like game 6 or game 7 where this nigga scored like all of their points in the fourth quarter.
But name me the rest of the niggas on that team, though.
I mean,
nigga was by himself.
No, he's about as by himself as he is this year. But there's a different expectation, right?
Okay, so if I'm not mistaken,
the same type of team. Outside of Kevin Love,
I'm talking about this. Was it Mo Williams? Mm-hmm. Who else was on that team? What year are we talking about? What year are we talking about? Let me pull this up, because
I want to say,
nigga, Boobie Gibson there.
I mean, is Boobie Gibson any worse than, say, I don't know, fuck is his name?
Jordan Clarkson? Please don't say that.
No, Jordan Clarkson. I'd take Jordan Clarkson over Boobie Gibson any day. Fuck. Why am I drawing a blank now? Not Rodney Hood either. Who else did they pick up?
Rodney Hood, Jordan Clarkson, Larry Nance.
That's right. J.R. Smith. That's what I was thinking of. Like, Boobie Gibson and J.R. Smith at this point in his career, yeah, they about even.
Damn.
I mean, because he's just, what do you do with a streaky shooter that's old, not as athletic? That's what J.R. Smith is. He's 32, bruh.
Yeah,
he doesn't have that bounce no more.
Inconsistent as fuck. God damn.
If you open up a dictionary right now and look up the word inconsistent, you will find a picture of J.R. Smith. Let me see. What was that? Cleveland.
Yeah, I was trying to see what year roster you were looking at.
I think it was 20. I want to say 2007. It would have been. It was the same year the Celtics won. Or no, it might have been the year before. Let me see. I think it was the 2006 finals.
All right, so 2007, you had Shannon Brown, Daniel Gibson, Larry Hughes, Eric Snow, Dwayne Jones, Drew Gooden, Zydrunas Ilgauskas,
who was an all-star at the time.
LeBron James, Allison, and Anderson. What's the fuck? Anderson Varejao. Yeah, what's that nigga's name?
Yep. So again, he had basically a bunch of role players and one all-star. Kevin Love. I'm sorry. The only thing that put him over the top in Cleveland before was Kyrie. Because he could legit, without question, trust Kyrie to come up the court and run the offense. And it looked great. And he could, take a couple plays off on the court. Catch his breath a little bit. Maybe focus on the defensive end a little bit. And not be worn down over the course of a game. Sorry, I don't see them doing much better than any other team with LeBron James and a bunch of role players built around him. That's never worked, not to my recollection. He ever won a finals without another certified star?
Nope.
No.
Nope, and that's one of the reasons I don't see them doing it. They seem to be playing better as a team right now. I just don't think they got enough firepower to get past Golden State. Hell, I don't think they got enough firepower to get past Houston if Houston ends up in the finals.
No, probably not. Probably not. Let me see. I feel like there's something else we were supposed to cover.
Dallas.
Oh yeah, that bullshit.
So you're gonna have to put me up on game on this one because I've heard little bits and pieces, but I haven't got a lot of the full information on exactly what happened. I know it was something that came out in Sports Illustrated or something, wasn't it? As far as this.
Yeah, they did like a. Actually, let me see if I can find some audio for it. Here, we use this.
I'm Robin Lundberg, joined by Sports Illustrated's executive editor, John Wertheim. Now, John, you broke a story on the Dallas Mavericks, specifically what you described as a corporate culture rife with misogyny and predatory sexual behavior, with former CEO and president Terdema Ussery, the offender-in-chief. One former employee called it a real-life animal house. Can you paint us a picture of exactly what was going on there?
Yeah, this was a product of a lengthy investigation I undertook with Jessica Luther, who's based in Texas, a great investigative reporter, and we'd gotten a tip and pursued it. And it was just, Robin, it's just one of these stories where every call led to another, and the anecdotes and the corroboration and the stories we were told, the patterns, it really did paint a picture. I think you quoted the Animal House line. There were a number of other metaphors. These were mostly former employees, but some current ones as well, mostly female, but some male as well. And all this, I think, fits into this Me Too prism. I mean, I don't know if this story comes about if this were a year ago, but in this climate, I think people felt emboldened to speak, and the pattern was pretty clear.
Now, you were told the problems extended all the way to HR. What exactly happened when some of these incidents were reported?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, it did seem like one individual who was a real culprit was a CEO. So this went all the way to the top of the organization, and it also seemed as though HR was problematic, that there was an HR official that a lot of the women didn't feel like they could go to him and talk formally because they had experiences that suggested he might not be taking them seriously.
Now, Ussery was incredibly widely respected in the basketball world. His name was even floated as a possible future NBA commissioner. Does that make you worried or concerned as to how pervasive these type of issues may be across the sports world?
Yeah, I don't know who knew what, but as you say, I mean, this is a figure who was in his early 30s and commissioner of the CBA. He had a very high-ranking job at Nike. He was the Mavericks CEO for, since the late 90s. This is someone that David Stern called a protege at one point. I don't know who knew what, but it did seem like there was a pattern here. This wasn't an isolated incident.
Of course, when people think about the Mavericks, they're going to think about Mark Cuban. No one you interviewed for this story said that Mark Cuban was involved or complicit. However, multiple people said they didn't believe that he was unaware, with one saying, of course Mark knew. Cuban told you he was blindsided by your reporting. Do you believe him?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is an obvious direction the story is going to go. This is a very prominent owner. This is a guy who prides himself on hands-on approaches and on micromanaging. what did Mark Cuban know? I've spoken with Mark a few times since we went to them with a chance to comment. And Mark, as you say, claims to have no knowledge. Blindside, he's been very outspoken. He's embarrassed. He's ashamed. There's been very civil conversations. He's already addressed the employees of the team. And, I think that's a valid question. I think it's a reasonable question to wonder what this owner, especially of all owners, what he did or didn't know. Mark makes a distinction that, look, I'm a basketball guy. You ask me anyone's salary, I know it. You ask me about the basketball analytics, I know it. The business side is something totally separate. I don't even have an office there. These are questions that Mark will have to reckon with. But again, he's been very upfront and got right back to me, and we've had some email exchanges. He's clearly upset by this, and we'll see where this goes from here.
Now, it was systemic, you're implying in the reporting. They had someone working for Mavs.com who was arrested for assaulting a female, and then later also was in trouble for allegedly hitting a coworker who he was dating. So with all that going on under his purview, how much culpability do you think Cuban should have?
Yeah, again, I think he draws a distinction between the basketball side and the business side. I mean, he's already in the last 24 hours been very proactive. I think these are questions that are going to be continued to be asked of him. Honestly, not a good look for an owner who prides himself. I mean, one of his great calling cards is how much he cares, how passionate he is, how hands-on he is. It's a lot he's got to answer for.
To be fair, he did tell you there's a problem in the Mavericks organization. We've got to fix it. That's it. We're going to take every step. It's not something we tolerate. I'm embarrassed, to be honest with you, that it happened under my ownership, and it needs to be fixed, period. End of story. So do you think he's handling it all the right way now?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the genesis of this story came from reporting on the Panthers and Jerry Richardson. I never spoke to Jerry Richardson. Jerry Richardson, I don't believe, has made a public statement since the allegations came out. I mean, obviously, Mark isn't the subject of the allegations per se, but still, this is the organization that he...
All right, so I guess that kind of breaks it down, but what are your thoughts?
The fucked up part about all of this is I don't think it's just the Mavericks organization. I think this shit is taking place in a lot of different organizations, whether it's football. We already know what's going on in football. Like, he brought up the whole Panther situation, so we know what's going on there. I think this is going to be, that crack in the ceiling that just opens everything up. I really, really do. And I think we're going to see a big shift in the way things are ran in the NBA, because the problem is you got a lot of men with a lot of power and women working under them. And I think this kind of weird shit is more common than we think it is. What's the shit? The Mavericks owner name. He just said, why am I drawing a blank? Mark Cuban. Like, he's going to catch all the heat for this. Of course, it's his organization, nigga. You're the owner, so you're going to catch all the heat for this. But I think we're going to see a major shakeup in the Mavericks organization, and a lot of motherfuckers about to lose their job. And we've seen it in the entertainment industry. We've seen it everywhere in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I hope they do clean house. Like, I don't see this as indicative of a culture that actually wants to change. Like, it's not like it was a Sports Illustrated report, right, that brought this out. So somebody came from outside your organization and was able to see it and was able to hear about it, but you weren't. Why does that happen? That happens because, again, you're not paying attention to the business side, but you're a businessman. That's how you bought the team, right? You're on Shark Tank, you do all these TV shows and shit. Like, you have some responsibility to manage, your little pet project that you love to talk about. Oh, well, I stay on the basketball side of things. No, the fuck you don't. Not when they start losing money. Let's see how much you stay on the basketball side of things then.
I would be hard pressed to believe that he didn't know anything.
Yeah,
none of this got out until it made Sports Illustrated. Come on.
Yeah, I can't believe this was happening right under my nose. You mean he was? Like, it just seems like fake outrage. Like,
because he come to me, I don't know Mark Cuban, but just he seems kind of like he's got a little micromanager in him. So he seems like the type that's always in every fucking thing. Like, that's why
he's notorious for micromanaging. So you're gonna tell me that someone who's notorious for micromanaging left an entire aspect of $1 billion team organization just go by the wayside?
Exactly.
I don't know that I buy it.
At the end of the day, man, we can talk all the shit we want, but we as men can be trash at times, and that's why I think it's so.
We are trash, collectively.
Yeah.
Trash.
I'm just saying, like, and a lot of these, especially these older white guys, like they were just raised like this to demean women, to think they're nothing but sex objects. Like it's.
Yeah, and this was I think the dude's a black guy, but like, it doesn't really change the fact that like he still was raised under that culture where if you're rich and in the company of these rich white men, that you also get the same benefits.
You do as they do,
basically. But I don't. It's foul. Like there's no getting around it. Like it's shitty and it shouldn't have happened. And it shouldn't have gotten out this way. It should have been fixed years ago. Like we talking 2010, 2011.
Mm-hmm.
So you haven't seen you don't pay attention to the finance aspects of things for what now 8 years? That your organization from the top down is rife with sexual harassment.
Yeah, like, that's bullshit, man.
Bullshit. Yeah, I don't buy it. I don't really buy the apology. I don't like. When I buy it, if he fixes the shit. Like that's the thing is people like this. There's nothing wrong with fucking up. People fuck up. People make mistakes. Whether you do it whether you do it knowingly or you don't. Like at the end of the day, when you say that you're wrong for something, are you gonna go out and take the steps to apologize? Like it was the same problem I had with Dolezal, right? What did she say when the issues of her blackness came up at first, right? It was like, oh, well, I'm gonna continue fighting for the cause, and I want my, like, what she did since then? Wrote a book, doing hair, babysitting, like, what? You didn't do shit for the cause. Why? Because you can't be hired because you're a fucking fraud. Like that's. I don't. But it's on the same token where like, the apologies all fine and dandy until I see like action or lack thereof. Because I don't, they're not gonna say exactly what they do. It's not really part of any company's policy to like talk about what they do to discipline employees. But who's gonna get away with it? Like who's because someone is, right? Someone has been doing this shit long, because it's not just the CEO, it's not just the HR guy that's guilty. Like it's every guy who sat around and was like, did he say that shit? Mm-hmm. And said nothing. Like that. So
and you can go through and fire everybody, but if you don't change the culture, and I don't think just because you fire people changes a culture.
No.
So you fire Joe Blow and then you bring another guy in there. That to me, that president has to be set from the jump. Yeah. And I don't think, like you said, I don't think most companies, they deal with it when it happens, but
yeah,
I don't think they use the proper. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So
they don't set an expectation of culture, and when they do, it works generally. Like because you find out real early if you set that expectation from day one, who's not on board, who's gonna be a problem, and you just let it go. You find ways to let it go or replace them.
Yeah, and that's the same thing, with all that shit going on in Hollywood now. It's just like, okay, so we've got rid of this guy, we've ostracized this guy. This guy's whatever. These guys lost his career. Okay, so what do we do now? What's going to stop this shit from happening?
Yeah.
Because mind you, we're already, especially dealing with Hollywood, like this shit been going on forever.
Ever.
And we just now get to the point where ever. So it's like, okay, now we're to the point where people are more comfortable speaking out about it. You know, like you said, guys are losing their career, but what do we do from this point on to make sure this shit don't happen another 100 fucking years?
Yeah. Well, not even that. It's just, what do we do to make sure that the next person in his position doesn't have A, those intentions, and B, like the power to use those intentions,
or take people's
careers from. Yeah, exactly.
You know, so how do we set the president now as far as, how do we stop all of this stuff from continuing on where we're not having these same issues 40, 50, 60 years down the road?
Yeah, I just don't see. I mean, you have to set an expectation early. You have to set a culture really early of like general respect, like not like the shit that they were saying was so far removed from uncalled for.
Yeah, I saw one quote where the guy was asking her was she about to go get gangbanged or something like that. Like, the fuck?
Yeah, like what? Like that shit is completely uncalled for. Completely.
Well, see, that's the problem with that thought process. That thought process is just like something in your brain when you kick that out said, this will be appropriate to say. Like
at work.
Yeah.
At work. Not in the club. Not with like one of the homegirls that maybe, y'all joke like that.
Yeah, but
your job.
Nigga, Becky in accounting, nigga? Like that.
Exactly, like you better leave Cadence alone. Cadence and HR is not fucking with your shit today. Like
nigga, she will tell on your ass. So.
I don't know. There has to, like, I get that this is a male-dominated sport. It's a male-dominated industry. I don't know any female NBA ownership. So, I mean, unless you count Jeannie Buss, but even then, she inherited it. It's not like she was able to make that money and then just wanted to go buy a basketball team. Like, I just don't see. Like, this is so far removed that, like, how do you fix the culture is, like, I'm at a loss. Like, you just, like, it's because it's so far from appropriate. Like, how do you fix this, something that's this broken, other than...
And the scary part is you can watch these other guys, like, you can sit back and watch people lose their careers, lose their jobs, everything, and that still does not seem to deter people from doing this shit. Like, no. Well, nigga, I'll do it. And, like, especially with the crackdown we're seeing now with the Me Too movement and all of this stuff, like, they are cracking down hard on this shit, and that's just not stopping these motherfuckers from doing this shit. Like I don't know.
Punishment like that rarely ever deters any kind of crime or any kind of offense, because the whole point of doing this shit is not to get caught. It's like, yo, dog, don't rob a bank. But if you're going to rob a bank, don't get caught. You're not thinking about the 15 to 20 that you're about to do if the whole point is to not get caught. And I think it's the same thing. It has to extend beyond this will get you fired. It has to extend beyond. Yep. It has to extend to this type of talk is inappropriate. Period. Like, you don't have no fucking place doing it, and you need to be not just punished, but you need to be shamed. I feel like maybe that works. Sometimes, as much as people hate shaming, sometimes that shit works. Like, we shamed Donald Sterling out of a fucking basketball team. Sure, he made a profit, but he was gonna make that profit anyway.
But we shamed Bill Cosby too, and guess what? That nigga's back to doing comedy. So it's like,
yeah, but he ain't by NBC no more. Like, no. And think about that. Like, oh, he was about, like, people was using that as a defense for Bill Cosby. Like, oh, he was about to buy NBC. Well, then he just would have been Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
You want a black Harvey Weinstein is essentially what you're saying. I don't want to model unhealthy behavior just because some white guy does it. Like that just doesn't seem appropriate.
Yeah, and you know, and all that shit Cosby was doing. I hear a lot of people. That's just how it was in the '70s. Like,
sure
nigga, that don't mean it. Yeah, but that's my thing. Like, that don't make it right, nigga. Like,
yeah. Oh, that's just how it was. Yeah,
nigga,
it was
Quincy
wrong.
Jones
That's
came out and
saying.
said that Marlon Brando and Richard Pryor was fucking in the '70s. Like, nigga, that don't make it right. Like, that's just what niggas did in the '70s.
And if we're being honest, I care a lot less about Richard Pryor and Marlon Brando fucking than I do about Bill Cosby, like predator preying on women like that.
No, my whole point is just like that. The whole thing is that if that's how it was back then, like, no, nigga, okay, but that don't make, you know, like fuck out of here.
Richard Pryor was shoving coke up Pam Grier's vagina. That doesn't make it right. To the point where she couldn't have kids.
Okay, that's one story I had never heard.
Yes. Yo, Richard Pryor is probably one of the craziest, in addition to being the funniest man in the last 100 years. Like, he did some wild shit. That was a wild nigga.
Yeah, but what it makes me wonder about Richard Pryor even more, like, I think that's one of the things that make a great comedian, where you could take that pain and all the shit you dealt with and make it funny. But it makes you wonder how much of a tortured soul that man probably was. So with all the shit that he had to deal with, and just find some way to take all of that pain and all of that shit and make it funny. Make it funny for us.
Yeah, I mean, because you think about it, he's black. Not only black, but, you know, as we now come to learn, like, at the very least, bisexual.
Sexual, yeah.
Like, that's not a very pleasant thing to deal with in, like, America, 1950, or, you know, 1900s America. It's just not. At no point was it ever.
Yeah, and that whole thing with him, it's like that nigga never shied away from talking about having sex with men. Like, he talked about this in his stand-up.
Yeah, but and you know, and again, like, that's what also like made me feel so weird about Bill Cosby, because he talked about that shit in his stand-up. So it's not like, oh, well, I didn't do this to these women. No, I didn't, and I didn't care. Mm-hmm. I thought it was funny. And that's the problem. Like, the fact that to this day he still can't reconcile that was wrong. Like, does he have the ability to go back and change the past? No. But to be able to reconcile your behavior is inappropriate and wrong and make changes toward, like, fixing that in the future, that's something else. And, like, that shows a lack of, like, maturity from an old ass man,
especially from an old ass nigga that went out of his way on so many occasions to shame young black kids. Like, I don't. The pound cake speech where he talked about a kid deserves to go to possibly die for stealing pound cake because they're hungry, like that. What? But then he'll sit there and say, oh, well, I don't have this new generation lacks morals. Nigga, you just said it was okay to kill someone stealing bread to feed themselves. I'm pretty sure the last time I checked the Bible, that was, like, allowable. Didn't Jesus stop somebody from being in trouble for stealing bread to feed themselves? Like, nigga, you talking about lacking morals, but you talked about drugging and raping women. Like, nigga, don't.
Like, pull your pants up, nigga. You pull yours. You pull yours up.
Nigga, keep yours up.
Yeah, keep yours up. Like, I just.
Oh, shit. Alright.
Let's go ahead and close this episode out. Thank y'all for watching. We appreciate it. Take care. Bye.
Yes, sir.